Hello to all dear listeners. Today we will quiet our hearts together to reflect on two great saints, two unshakable pillars of the Catholic Church, Saint Peter and Saint Paul, the two apostles. Our theme is Two Lives, One Mission, Unity in Diversity. Our Vietnam is a country diverse in culture, religion, and life perspectives. However, within this diversity, Vietnamese people always find ways to live in harmony and unity. It is in this same spirit of unity in diversity that we see in the lives and missions of the two apostles, Saint Peter and Saint Paul. Despite their different backgrounds and personalities, Saint Peter and Saint Paul together built the church on the foundation of faith and love. The image of these two saints is an invitation to Vietnamese people today. Let's cherish our differences and together build a strong community where everyone has a place and contributes to common development. It is miraculous that God chose two people with seemingly opposite backgrounds and personalities to build His church. On one side, Peter, a simple, honest fisherman. On the other side, Paul, an erudite, Jewish intellectual, full of passion, but initially went astray by persecuting Christians. Yet both, despite such differences, were called by the Lord. Both underwent profound conversions to eventually become solid foundations for the church through their steadfast faith and ultimate sacrifice for the gospel. Let's together look back at the special journey of each saint through the first part, One Church, Two Conversion Journeys. I'm sure you remember the Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 16, verses 13 to 19. It was at that moment when Jesus asked His disciples, "But who do you say that I am?" Peter boldly declared, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." This great profession of faith led Jesus to choose Peter as the rock on which to build His church. But this rock was not a perfect man. Peter had been weak. He had denied his master 3 times out of fear. However, after the resurrection, the Holy Spirit transformed him. Peter became strong, courageous, and full of wisdom. The Acts of the Apostles tells us that even when imprisoned, Peter continued to trust and pray, and an angel of the Lord came to miraculously free him. What about Paul? He was an intellectual, zealously protecting the laws of his ancestors, and even actively persecuting those who followed Jesus. But on the road to Damascus, an unexpected encounter with the risen Lord completely transformed his life. From a persecutor of the faith, Paul became a passionate apostle, enduring hardships to proclaim the gospel. In his letter to Timothy, he described his life as a righteous fight, a race to the finish line, and he kept his faith until the very end, ready to pour out his blood as a sacrifice for the Lord. And now we move into the second part to reflect more deeply on the meaning of these two journeys, Unity in Diversity, an invitation for today's world. We can clearly see that Peter and Paul represent different but complementary aspects of the church. Peter symbolizes stability, tradition, and hierarchy. Paul brings renewal, creativity, and a strong missionary spirit. One gathers while the other eagerly goes forth, but both share the same noble mission to bear witness to the risen Christ. In today's world context, where differences in culture, perspectives, politics, or religion sometimes cause division, the image of St. Peter and St. Paul becomes a meaningful invitation. They show us that unity in diversity is not only possible, but also a gift and a mission. For each Catholic, these two saints remind us that the Church is a living community where everyone has a place and is invited to contribute. And for non-Catholics, their lives are a powerful testimony. None of us is perfect, but if we open our hearts, anyone can be transformed and embark on a journey of love, service, and hope. And on this feast day of the Two Apostles, each of us, especially the young people, is invited to answer the question that Jesus posed. But who do you say that I am? This is also a content of the final part, call and sent. That answer lies not only in words, but must be demonstrated through how we live. Today's world desperately needs people with unwavering faith like Peter. In a society where moral values are eroding, we need people with firm belief in the truth. Just as Peter boldly proclaimed, "You are the Christ." The world needs people who dare to stand up for their faith, and the world also yearns for people who passionately commit themselves to justice and truth like Paul. Witnessing so much injustice and deceit, we need people with passionate hearts who dare to defend the vulnerable. Following St. Paul's example, we are called to become pioneers, bringing the light of truth to places of darkness. Saints Peter and Paul, two lives that seem opposite, but together build the church on the foundation of faith and love for Christ. In a world thirsting for meaning, truth, and love, the lives of these two saints are an urgent invitation. Have the courage to live for God and for our brothers and sisters. Like them, each of us can become quiet yet strong pillars for the church today and in the future. Thank you for listening. May St. Peter and Paul intercede for all of us.